What I love about pizza, it comes from the pizza cognition theory. Pizza cognition theory states the pizza that you have first is the pizza that tastes best to you for the rest of your life. And that was that New York slice that I had back in 1958 or whatever it was. I said, I'm going to build a place that looks like the slice shops of my youth. I'm going to pay homage to that. We make a classic New York slice, the same kind of pizza that you would have found back in the 60s and 70s. I'm Paulie Gee. We're here at Paulie Gee's Slice Shop in Greenpoint on Franklin Street. Welcome. Well, things start early here. By 6 a.m., there's at least one person in here making the dough and getting ready to pan out the Sicilians.
We got Waldo here. He's our resident dough expert, and we're about to make multiple batches of dough for the next couple days. So the first batch we're making today is the Sicilian dough. We're just temping out the water. Temp is super important, especially in the colder winter months. If it's too cold, it'll take a lot longer to rise. We're shooting for like 72. We have about like 80 kilograms of water. That might seem like a lot of water, but we are making a lot of dough. This will probably make about 80, 85 Sicilians. We use more water for the Sicilian just because we like how light and kind of like fluffy the result is. Higher hydration compared to just our regular New York style round. Okay, we're gonna take the bucket out and bring it over to our table and start to divide it up. So right now, this is the final product. As you can see, it's almost soup-like in its consistency. This is what we're looking for. Now we're ready to start dividing up the dough, and we're gonna start balling it and putting it into proof containers.
So right now, we're just basically pressing out any air inside the dough. Just want to flatten it out, stretch it as much as possible, try to get out all the air pockets. So when you bake it, you don't have any holes, or when we pan it out, you don't want to have any holes in the dough when they're actually making it, because when they take it out the oven, the pizza would completely break apart. So this is like extremely important for proofing. So we don't have a prep kitchen. Our kitchen is small, so our dining area and our bar area is basically our makeshift kitchen where we prep everything. I'm the main Sicilian pie guy. It's one of my main responsibilities before anything else is just to get the Sicilians in the trays first. This is pomace oil, olive oil that we use, and we use our paintbrush to spread the oil evenly. The Sicilian dough is extremely sticky, so if we don't use enough oil after they finish baking, when they try to get the Sicilian pie out of the tray, the bottom of the crust will actually break. So we try to get at least a decent amount of oil on there.
One of the unique things we do is we seed the bottom of our Sicilian dough. So what he's going to do is spread out a healthy dose of sesame seeds on every single tray.
So all of our Sicilians have sesame seeds on the bottom. It adds both flavor and texture. It gives it a really nice crunch.
It might not seem like an obvious pairing, but it really complements the pizza well. I think people are always pleasantly surprised when they take that first bite.
So this is the Sicilian dough that we made yesterday. We just want to get in there and just kind of scoop the dough out and lift it like this and just right onto the tray as such. So we're going to just push out any air pockets that may be inside the dough. And then we're going to kind of stretch it to the corners and to the edges. I'm lifting it over the sesame seeds. This way, when it lands on the sesame seeds can gently get higher to the dough. So there we go. And then what I like to do is, I like to make little, what I like to call moon craters. So when proving, these craters actually cause like a little airy dough. So I'll gently lift it over, and it will stretch itself. Sort of lay down the stretches. This is actually the first time I've ever worked with food. The first time I've ever made pizza. But yeah, 3 years ago is when I met Paulie, and he gave me the opportunity to work here and get my hands dirty. Ever since then, I loved it. I loved it. I love the science behind pizza, the science behind dough.
Now we're making our Sicilian sauce, which would go on our Sicilian and vegan pies. It's pretty simple. We're just adding whole garlic cloves. We're gonna saute them for about 10-15 minutes till they're nice and golden, and then we are gonna add our onions and tomatoes and let that cook for about an hour and a half. It's really simple, not trying to reinvent the wheel here, and it creates a really great flavor that we use on our Sicilians.
I want to do it upside down Sicilian. We put the cheese on first, and that gives it sort of a barrier against the dough, and we put the sauce on top of that. I like to get a nice marbling effect on the sauce on top. I had enjoyed Sicilian slices at a place in Whitestone, Queens called Freddy's, and I wanted to emulate that. I wanted to steal it from him, but I can't just steal it without giving him credit. I'm not that kind of guy, right? So we actually went to him, we talked with him, we told him what we want to do. He even gave us some tips on how to put sesame seeds in. My favorite at the time was a Prince Street pizza, and we named it the Freddie Prince, and that's where that name came from.
So here we have our regular dough. This is for our 20-inch rounds, and we weigh this out to about 740 grams. And these get balled and then put into trays where they proof for up to 48 hours. So the main difference here is really just the amount of water in the dough. So this is about 60% total hydration, whereas the Sicilian is about 75. So it's a lot easier to handle.
So right now we're bowling up the dough. This is actually the same process almost as the Sicilians, just to get the air pockets out, make sure there's no air bubbles. We're gonna make it really, really tight. And then what we do at the end of bowling it, you're just gonna crimp the bottom. So when it's proving inside the walk-in, it doesn't open up. And when the pizza makers get a hold of it, it doesn't fall apart. And the same thing, no holes when it comes out the oven. It's just like a perfect pizza. And we push out a lot of pizza a day. So the pace is kind of fast in the morning. So we like bowling. At least one batch of dough would make about 57 pies. Yeah, it's a lot. And we do 3 to 4 batches a day. So yeah.
Once I got the idea to open this place, I decided that it was just gonna, be like a classic slice shop. I'm not gonna serve any kind of crazy pizza. I said, I'm going to build a place that looks like the slice shops of my youth. I'm gonna pay homage to that. It all started with what the place was gonna look like. First thing was, I wanted to have these basement paneling walls. I wanted to have a Cornelius Jet Spray JT20 double bowl beverage dispenser. I'm gonna get a little verklempt here. This is a very special machine right here. It's the Cornelius JT20 Jet Spray double bowl beverage dispenser. This is exactly what the old one looked like. Anytime I have to have a fruit punch with my milk slice, typically this would be orange. If you had 3 of them, it would be great. We're having a hard time getting the orange. So we have grape in here now. Grape is a good third choice. I like to have orange in here. We got to work on that. The most important thing in this whole shop are these benches that I'm sitting on, because these are the exact same seats that my children sat in. We sat in with our children when they were growing up. And I was able to have that here in this shop. And there's nothing more special to me in this shop than these boots.
So yeah, now we're in the thick of lunch. So back here we have 2 separate ovens. This is our electric oven, a Pizza Master, and this is our old Baker's Pride gas oven. We use the gas oven for reheat, and we use the electric for our Sicilians and our regular pies. Cook at a higher temp than most. We're at like 635 for our round pies and about 550 for our Sicilians.
What we're probably best known for is our Hellboy slice and our Hellboy squared slice. So what that is our pepperoni either square or triangle, topped with Mike's Hot Honey after the oven.
We have our cult favorite over from the wood-fired place, the Hellboy. We do it with cup and char pepperoni, which is great for Mike's Hot Honey. When I first opened at the wood-fired place, I needed people who could make pizza, and Mike knew about this. He was a home pizza maker, but he was also making this honey at home. When he came in that day, he had a bottle with him. I wanted to put his product on our pizza, and it quickly became a cult favorite. But Mike's Hot Honey is really, we're known for that now, thank God. We carried it over, and we do the Hellboy here. Do I make the best pizza in the city? Well, that's not for me to say. I make classic New York pizza When a guest comes into my shop, I want them to be excited they're getting something iconic. I want them to feel that they're experiencing good, classic pizza. And I just wanted to make that, my unique brand.